welcome
Yes.
back
Here we go.
to a developer interview. We have Ian Hazzikostas today, game director of World of Warcraft. How you doing, Ian?
Pretty good. Pleasure to be here chatting with you.
Yeah, it's my first time interviewing you, so it's pretty exciting. I think I've done Morgan and Brian Halinka, so I'm moving up in the world. So yeah, I got a couple questions. Got a lot of questions.
Let's watch
actually.
this, and we'll do the alpha.
Mostly Dragonflight, some general stuff as well, if you don't mind. But yeah, I guess the first one for me, and this is something that a lot of people have asked about, really, is what's the kind of general gameplay rotation outside of like Mythic Plus and raiding and PvP in Dragonflight?
So I think a lot of that's going to depend on your playstyle and what types of content you enjoy. You know, I think a lesson that we've learned from Shadowlands and that we tried to
Guys, I know the servers are up.
development of Eternity's End and Zereth
I'm going to
Mortis,
watch this, and I'm going to go on. I'm going to make my character.
Avoiding stuff that starts to get seen as a chore. You know, the daily, weekly routine, the checklist, the stuff that you have to do.
I can't turn it up
or not, in order to stay relevant or competitive in the content that you prefer, if that's your playstyle. And so, you know, what we have, I mean, loose and hand wavy, I could say almost 4 Zereth Mortises.
There we go.
4 separate zones that each have their own renown progression, some traits and perks that you can unlock to be more effective in exploring and fighting within those zones. Cosmetics, you know, tie-ins with crafting and other systems, but nothing that's like you have to be doing this to increase your raid DPS or to be ready for whatever your raid expects you to have, you know, week 5 or week 6. And we think that's proven to be pretty effective over the course of Eternity's End and the end of Shadowlands, and that's what we want to carry forward. So play the game the way you want, do the content that you enjoy, and the other stuff is there for you if you want it.
Okay. That sounds awesome. That sounds really exciting. So obviously you had a chance to jump into like a, you know, early alpha as such this week, and it's been amazing. Azura Span, already my favorite zone, like Grizzly Hills vibes. It's super great and massive as well. That was one thing that was really kind of surprising to me, was the zones were pretty big.
I think Azura Span might be the largest zone in WoW's history.
Yeah.
So
I think with dragon riding as well,
we
feels amazing. Like just to traverse it and stuff. Like it's awesome. I guess sticking with like kind of PvE stuff, Mythic Plus dungeons in Season 1, so I think it was mentioned before that there was going to be, I think, 4 from the past. Is there any more kind of progress on that?
Yeah, we think we have a tentative list. So I think it's 4 new Dragonflight dungeons and 4 old ones initially.
That's good.
I think a couple that we're looking at are Temple of the Jade Serpent from Pandaria.
That's what we just saw,
Stars from Legion, and a couple more. So, you know, subject to feedback, but ultimately, we're pretty happy with that pool. We want to have, you know, our goal when we think about the entire pool is dungeon length, layout, linear.
Yeah, they're only doing
non-linear,
4 at the beginning.
All of that, so that we have a nice mix there. And we're also excited to have a structure that lets us, you know, shake things up in a meaningful way going into Season 2, Season 3. Look forward to hearing all the feedback and thoughts about dungeons that people do want to see or don't want to see, as the case may be.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I actually thought of another question just kind of off the back of that, as you mentioned, Court of Stars. Legion Mythic Plus Time Walking, is that still kind of exist within all of this in Dragonflight as well?
No, no, it won't. Once we get into 10.0, I think in some ways Legion Time Walking, like the Mythic Plus piece of it, was an experiment that helped validate this on a larger scale. That, you know, returning to older dungeons and using them for modern Mythic Plus experiences could feel compelling and fun, and, you know, having the two systems coexisting, particularly with there being some Legion dungeons in our seasonal rotation, feels a bit odd. And we want, ultimately, the conclusion we came to is we want Legacy Mythic Plus to be something that's available more than just 1 week every few months.
Nah, cool.
That's good. Yeah.
I guess sticking with Time Walking, I like Time Walking a lot. Is there any changes or improvements planned for Dragonflight?
Yeah, we want to continue expanding it. I think, you know, we can probably expect to see BFA Time Walking coming online at some point over the course of Dragonflight.
That'd be nice.
We want to keep adding Legacy Time Walking raids as part of that package. I think the question of what outdoor Time Walking might look like is one that comes up from time to time.
Timeless Isle.
We have, you know, more scaling tech than we did before to make such a thing potentially possible. Again, it's more about giving players more.
That's what I have wanted.
Yeah. A way to, you know, give
holy shit.
To revisit 18 years of awesome content that we have.
It might actually happen.
Spending all your time and the most.
Oh my god.
Thing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I love those time walking raids, and yeah,
that's a
time
good
walking
thing.
Outdoor content sounds pretty awesome. I guess speaking of raids as
Holy
well,
shit.
the first raid of Dragonflight, we didn't really get too much information about it a couple months ago.
Yeah,
when it was,
let's hear a
kind
little
of
bit
all
more about
announced.
this.
Do you have anything to share about what to expect from the first raid?
It's an awesome place. So I
Great.
think
Thanks, Ian.
It's tricky to get too much into it without story spoilers, but it is an ancient
All right, well, there we
elemental
go.
prison for
Who pre-ordered? I just did.
powerful dragon incarnates. Sort of way back in the day, what we're going to learn is we know the dragon aspects as they are today, but they're ultimately the ones who won the war. They're the ones who emerged from the conflict with Galakrond and the events thousands and thousands of years ago as the preeminent guardians of Azeroth. But there were other dragons that arose from the sort of proto-dragon primordial muck that had different philosophies and different aims, and their return is one of the major threats to our current world order that we're going to have to navigate.
Yeah.
And that journey will take us to this prison of the incarnates, a vault where the incarnates were locked away. Awesome elemental theming, some epic dragon fights, and the rest we'll have to see.
Yeah, there's some placeholder stuff on the alpha that I saw, and I was like, okay. Yeah,
That's
that
bad.
looks like a lot of fun.
We about to look at all that.
I guess the Great Vault as well. I think it was mentioned a while back as well. There was going to be some sort of changes or some kind of iteration to the Great Vault in Dragonflight. Is there any kind of update on that at all?
I mean, honestly, I think we're largely we've tweaked it over the course of Shadowlands. I think we're largely happy with it and carrying it forward.
Yeah,
it's not perfect, but I think it's a clear improvement over the just single loot chest that you would get every week in the past.
I think the Great Vault's good.
Some of the lowered thresholds and increased flexibility. I think it's in a solid place overall.
Yeah,
we've chosen to focus our resources on other areas that we're in more dire need of shoring up, but want to keep evolving the Great Vault based on feedback as it makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. So 927 has the I think it's region-wide consumables for the auction house, which I think is really exciting and kind of hopeful for the future of that.
Ian.
With the work order system, which was there was a blog post obviously about it the other day, which was really good, like super in depth and everything like that. Is that something that's going to be looked at as region-wide, or is that going to be a server?
That's actually a very good question.
That's something that we're still figuring out. I think that, regardless, the ability to get in a group with someone or just trade with someone or interact with them directly in person and craft something cooperatively is something that will inherently be region-wide. Anyone that you could group with, you could also, have craft for you. With the work order.
Yeah, true.
There's an ad? Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, I agree.
I knew that was going to happen, man. I knew that was going to happen.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Absolutely knew it. Let me know when you're back. That's hilarious. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Oh shit, I've paused real life. Oh fuck.
What happened?
Oh no, what have I done? What a madman.
People are saying 1 of 6 ads. Twitch doesn't run 1 of 6 ads.
Let me know when the ads
As far as I know. I mean, I have no idea.
It's pre-recorded, right? So this is...
I have no idea. Give me a minute. They do? Holy shit. Wait, randomly they do? I thought only streamers could run 1 of 6.
10 seconds?
I thought only streamers could do that.
Are we done? Are we out? Any ads?
Oh my god!
8 ads. Why is that 8? I don't even have...
Sometimes 8 ads?
We done?
Bro, no wonder this website's dying.
Alright, everyone's sitting down, got your popcorn?
That's horrible! Who the fuck would watch that?
Okay. You ready?
Jesus!
Okay, here we go. And...
Okay, let's get back to it.
Back in the room.
Order system... We're probably going to start off server-based and evaluate from there.
Yeah.
I think part of the
concern
is just the sheer volume, navigating the interface, what that experience looks like. A big part of why we focus on consumables and reagents and other stackable commodities for the region-wide auction house in 927 is that there it's just like, all right, you want herbs, you want flasks, there's thousands, it's obvious what you're doing. imagining individually listed items with different parameters that across literally an entire region, that starts to potentially get just messy and tricky to navigate. So we want to make sure we have a good user experience.
I still wish they would do
it out. But philosophically, you know, as people can perhaps infer from, you know, expansion of cross-realm play, moving things like portions of the auction house to be region-wide, like philosophically, we are trying to move more and more towards an interconnected world where, you know, what realm you're on doesn't really have as much bearing in your ability to experience the game, and you're just playing World of Warcraft with a community of millions alongside you.
Ain't that something?
That is the perfect segue into my next question.
Ain't
and
that
this has
just
been
a bit of something?
A burning question for a very long
Wow.
time. And that is EU and NA crossplay. Is that something that could ever happen in World of Warcraft, or has been an idea at any point?
I'll never say never to anything. The challenge there, it's not latency. It's not a question of desire,
let's be honest,
like a lack of desire or philosophy. There are just some very fundamental underpinnings to the entire game's server architecture, and how everything is built that make those walls, those boundaries, pretty firm. It would be a very massive effort to unwind that. I'm not saying it's not worth it. It's just something that, like, the cost and the challenge is extremely high there.
I wish that you could
there's also
do
some
it.
Stuff we'd have to think through, like what that means for time zones, what that means for
just like not for competitive content.
We're all on different weekly schedules,
like Arena.
For
that'd
good
be really
reasons,
frustrating.
And that, people don't. No one wants their raid to reset at 7 p.m. their local time. What does that look like when now, if people could coexist? So nothing specific to announce there right now. It's a desire we hear, you know, loud and clear, particularly as the community does get more interconnected and people are on Discords with each other, and people are, you know, in shared other communities
like Twitch
with people they
imagine
all play WoW. They want to just naturally play together. But there's some pretty significant hurdles for us to overcome there.
Yeah, I understand it. Yeah, I could imagine. It's, you know, been so long, it's been separated. It's just could be a massive headache to put it all together. Speaking of, I guess, separation and things that have kind of joined together recently, cross-faction has been around for a couple of weeks now, maybe a month or so. And first of all, I want to get your thoughts on how you feel it's gone, how you feel everyone's kind of enjoyed it and whatnot. And obviously, the big question is guilds or expansion of that system. I guess that's kind of the question of sorts.
Okay, cross-faction guilds. That's a good question.
It's been awesome. I think we're really excited by the overall reception. It's been, you know, I think last I looked, something like 50% of groups formed through the group finder, like doing raids, period, had members of both factions in them.
I'm
which
surprised.
Is awesome. Like,
wow.
Tearing down a lot of those barriers. We've seen, you know, and some of our concerns initially were that it might erode faction.
The other 50% were horde
but
only.
In some ways, we've almost seen it strengthen identity, insofar as people now felt free to play the faction they most identified with.
Exactly,
as opposed to the one they felt like they had to play in order to play with their friends.
That's what a lot of people said. I remember Vinruki said that, I think.
It's something that we do want to continue to expand. As we talked about when we first rolled out the feature, part of why it's cross-faction instances and not just cross-faction play or cross-faction everything is kind of, as I alluded to earlier with regard to cross-region, it's like 18 years of underpinnings and assumptions and content built and code written, assuming, well, Horde and Alliance can never group together. Of course, these are totally separate things. And so there's a lot to
It'll take time.
We want to make sure that it's a smooth experience. We also want to be mindful of, you know, how the social structures play out. We know that this is a one-way path, in a sense. We're never going to allow something, see social groups form, and then pull back and say, never mind, we're going to break up your groups.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't
undo it. Cautiously and conservatively. But guided by the community and this ongoing conversation, I think it's clear that that's a direction we're going to continue to head in.
Smart for them to do that.
And so guilds become a natural next step. That's not our focus right for the launch of Dragonflight, but is something I could see us, you know, exploring over the course of the expansion.
Excellent. I've got to say, it's been lovely to be Alliance recently. Just, you know,
cool. You can actually play the game again. Imagine that.
I guess kind of an odd question. I don't know if you've had this one before, but with the free-to-play experience in World of Warcraft, at the moment I think it's up to
this
level
is a
20.
good question.
It's pretty restricted in regards to that. Has there ever been any thoughts in regards to maybe changing that up, or you know, doing any changes to the free-to-play experience?
This is actually a really good question.
So I think, you know, we obviously in Shadowlands we added Exile's Reach and kind of revamped our new player intro. It's something we want to keep refining And we think there's work to do in, for example, updating, that the first couple of dungeons you queue into to maybe be a more new player friendly experience as opposed to dungeons that were originally designed for BFA and game players with a lot more complexity to them.
Yep. True.
Our goal is to make sure that the starter edition gives you a taste of the range of content that Warcraft has to offer. And with the removal of the need to purchase any kind of, box, any kind of expansion product, the only barrier really is just becoming a subscriber, and you can check out everything from there. And so I think our focus is really more on just making sure that that full cohesive experience, 1 to 50 or now 1 to 60, is one that is welcoming. And we know we have a lot more work to do there in terms of better explaining.
I think they should make it 1 to 50.
Unveiled, like talent system, professions.
I think they should make it 1 to 50.
We are keeping Battle for Azeroth.
It's not enough to get people hooked.
The leveling
20
expansion.
is not enough.
I think thematically that feels like a more natural fit for a new player. You emerge from Exile's Reach and you go off to aid Lady Jaina and Kultiris, as opposed to you need to go into hell to rescue Lady Jaina from, the jailer as like your second hour questing in WoW. A bit much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I agree with that.
Just go to Super Hell, straight after
Shadowlands didn't happen,
like that.
Basically.
So I guess I think it was mentioned before about account-wide things in Dragonflight. It's something that you're looking into to have, a lot of the stuff being account-wide.
Yes.
One thing that's a barrier for entry for at least me, and I know a couple other, a few people in the community, is reputations and, kind of legacy reputations in a sense. I have a character that I played forever and has all these reputations and kind of progress through the expansions, and then I play a new character, and then obviously it doesn't have that. Is that something you've ever considered going back and looking at account-wide in regards to legacy content?
I think they should make reps account-wide.
Yes. I think with regard to legacy content, I think there's definitely an opportunity for improvement there.
Wow.
We don't have anything specific to announce for Dragonflight, but I agree. It's there's that list of things anytime you think about switching mains, particularly when we introduce a new class, like the Evoker, this comes up. It's what are the things that make you feel like
you don't want to
swap? Be sad if you had to leave that stuff behind.
My
as much as possible, we do want to make what we can there account wide. Going forward, as we've looked at modern reputations, what we tend to do is ask what are the things the reputation gives you, and can those be account wide where possible, while still leaving room for, if there's an individual, eye level whatever helm that's on this track, we may still want that to be part of your individual character progression. Or if you're a tailor as opposed to an herbalist, there is value in, this recipe being something you have to work towards as a tailor, but access to content, cosmetics, other, systems like, the extra legendary in Zereth Mortis and so forth, are things wherever possible we want to make account wide.
Yeah. I would not
love that answer. It's
be
brilliant.
completely
It wasn't just a no. That's everything I've ever wanted.
Gear account wide.
So, so this is a good one. So, the encryption of the Dark Ranger stuff in 925, I got to say that was amazing. I do a bit of data mining stuff here and there, and there was just pretty much nothing in there. It was pretty locked down. I'm pretty down impressed. Is that something we're going to see in the future with Dragonflight content, especially story beats?
That's our hope. I think it's a challenge. We know certainly there's an information hungry community out there that will do their best to pick apart and glean whatever clues about even things that aren't encrypted packages.
Yes.
But and of course we want to make sure that we are testing the content and getting the feedback we need to make sure that it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, is there a lot to be said for just being surprised, for just not knowing exactly what's going to happen.
Like the Illidan cinematic in Legion.
And that's both things like surprise rewards.
That was badass
pieces, but also even things like
hidden,
the way the final bosses in Sepulchre played out.
Yeah.
Not being publicly tested. I think there were separate tuning issues with Sepulchre as a whole, but that wasn't, I think, a product of not testing those bosses publicly. We tested Halandris plenty on the PTR. Still, maybe wasn't hitting the tuning mark there, but there was a lot to be said for just the experience of week one being able to go in and be like, no, there isn't a video I can watch. There isn't a guide for this thing yet. It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
those things will come out, but if we can at least give that vanguard the chance to experience the story, the world, the content unspoiled, we want to chase that wherever we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's so it was so awesome to be on the internet when that Dark Ranger stuff came out. It was just people lost their minds, and it was brilliant.
Yeah. No data.
So I got one about the recent acquisition of the Spellbreak team. I believe they're coming in to help out with World of Warcraft, which is awesome. It sounds, it just sounds like a positive in my eyes. But what does this mean for the future of WoW, having all of those kind of extra heads working on it?
I mean, yeah, so it's super exciting for all of us. We know, one of the biggest challenges with World of Warcraft is just keeping up with our community. It's making content, stuff to do, goals, places to explore. And we know that, regardless of the state of the game or how well the last patch was received, if we ask people to wait too long with nothing new to do, we're doing everybody a disservice, and the game suffers as a result.
True.
And so we're so excited to be able to continue investing in the World of Warcraft.
Very fucking true.
All these additional great developers to help us. This, of course, we've been working with them for just a couple of months, and this acquisition was just finalized super recently. So we're not seeing their work directly in Dragonflight yet, but long term, the goal is just more stuff with fewer gaps in between. And they have a ton of MMO expertise. Many of their founders and their senior developers are people who worked on seminal games that I played 20 years ago that helped inspire aspects of WoW itself.
There it is.
So it's really exciting just to have all that knowledge joining us, and we can't wait to work more with them.
I just hope it's going to be important.
I can't wait to see how that all kind of plays out.
Yeah.
Bit of a lore question. So the Dragonflight lore specifically, we don't know a ton of what's actually happening on the Dragon
Isles,
I guess.
Is going on?
Over the past years in WoW, it just kind of gets bigger and bigger. There was a big sword. I don't know if you've heard about that. There was some other stuff going on as well with N'Zoth and whatnot, and then going to Hell, obviously. So with Dragonflight, is it more down to earth in regards to the story, or is it going to get, is it going to escalate to some sort of insane threat once again?
Okay.
Oh yeah, it is. I think it is literally, a return to Azeroth and a more grounded narrative. I think cosmic themes.
It's not grounded.
Have been
Dragons could fly.
Part of WoW forever. I mean, I think if you go back and think like Burning Crusade or Legion, like the very essence of interplanar travelers and Legion ships and the Twisting Nether and all of that is like very far from localized, threats marauding in Elven Forest. But they were part of Warcraft, and so I think there's room to tell those stories. But we also understand that there's a lot to be said for being able to return to just a more inviting exploration themed vibe. That's just, there isn't the overwhelming existential threat that's right in your face day one.
That's bald.
Those will emerge. They will unfold. They're going to be villains for us to overcome and threats for us to stop. But I think back to Mist of Pandaria is probably a close analog in terms of the general.
I'm glad. That's what I thought too.
Feeling we're trying to convey here in terms of arriving in a new land that has its own rich history and culture. And of course, there are things that are wrong, and there are things that we're going to have to overcome. But let's explore at our own pace and let that story unfold. And that's where I think we intend for Dragonflight to remain.
Great. Excellent. I see a lot of people speculating on the final boss of the expansion as well, which I think is a good thing and an exciting thing to talk about. I guess I'm going to throw this one in randomly just for but will we know the final boss by the end of the Dragonflight 10.0 story, or is it still going to be?
I think by the end of 10.0, I think you'll have a very good sense.
That's a good way to ask that question. I like that. Yeah.
So I have some shorter questions, kind of like I guess just kind of quick fire sorts. New mount achievement for collecting mounts. Is there any plans for that?
It's getting to be about that time. So I think I don't have an exact answer, but I think our philosophy there is, obviously we want to make sure that there's something to recognize the accomplishments of our most engaged mount collectors, without also setting the bar so high that it starts to feel like you need a bunch of sort of unfair mounts.
No, what do you mean?
Things that are no longer available for promotions or whatever to get to that number. We want it to feel like it's something that you can actually join the game today and theoretically achieve. But we're adding a bunch of new mounts in Dragonflight, and so it feels like it would make sense for that bar to go up again.
Yeah, good, excellent. So speaking of good old PTR mysteries, this one's been rattling everybody for a while now. Stormwind and Ogrima, there was some additions in regards to some stables that were added recently. I don't know if you know anything about that or what's going on there.
No, I mean, sometimes they're seeds for future content and things that are planted as we start laying the literal groundwork for where things will happen down the line.
Because it's on the ground.
Nothing specific to announce right now, but just some refurbishing around the major capitals.
Love that. That's exciting. Here's a bit of a random one. Eversong, Ghostlands, and I guess Azura's Isle as well. They are on the Outland map, if I'm not mistaken, right? And they have been since Burning Crusade. Has there ever been, I know obviously Silver Moon, with the way it's built, you can't really fly around it.
It's never going to happen.
But is that something you've ever thought about,
It's
kind of
never
rejoining
gonna happen.
those parts to the original map?
That we've identified the problem, basically. It was originally built that way.
There's no way.
And as a result, in Cataclysm, when the rest of the world was updated to be flyable, the changes that would need to be made have not been done in that space. If we have relevant content that sends us there, I think it'll make sense to do. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it's awkward and it's kind of weird, and we'd like to fix it, but we have an endless list of things we'd like to do, and we're always just trying to prioritize.
It's not going to happen.
1,000 hours to make that happen.
It's not going to happen.
Player value compared to taking those same.
It's not worth it.
1,000 hours and putting them into other new stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So far,
it's opportunity
has been no,
cost.
But if we're revisiting that area, that answer may change.
Yeah, it's not worth
right.
it.
You want to focus on the kind of
he's right.
Dragonfly and everything like that, no doubt. So,
he's right.
Any changes to BFA allied races in regards to unlocking them in Dragonflight?
None planned. I mean, I think that the main change that we did was removing the reputation requirements from all allied race unlocks. So it really is just kind of like play through the one-time content for that race, whether it's playing through a zone campaign or whatever else. And then you can earn them. I think, they don't have traditional starting experiences, so they're sort of positioned as like playing through their backstory and getting to know, okay, this is who the High Mountain Tauren are, is what makes them available.
No, that's understandable. I guess I assume this was a given, but I guess in 10.0, are we going to see BFA Pathfinder unlocked by default, or is that still something that will be an unlock?
It should be.
That's a good question. I'm not.
Yeah, it should be.
That hasn't been decided yet.
Yeah, they should just make it. Make it unlock.
I guess thinking out loud. I think the only tricky part there is what that means for the true new player experience. Mm-hmm. Where since that's the expansion you're leveling through, if you have never played WoW before, we honestly probably don't want flying to be something you're doing, 10 hours into playing WoW for the first time.
As you're
still just kind of learning the basics and navigation, though we understand
that makes sense.
For alts, for people who've been playing for longer,
no, that actually
having
makes
to go
sense.
back and do the campaign isn't ideal. We'll see if we can work something out there.
Cool.
Yeah, then they should do it after you finish questline.
Okay.
Yeah, unlock the next level.
Got one last one for you. I've seen this one a lot. So this is there any plans to expand 50 character slots on an account?
No, they're not going to do that.
We were looking into it.
What?
I've seen that question raised in the community. Because in the past, it used to be when we had server-specific character limits, we would always give you an extra character slot on a server when we added a new class. This time around, now we're in a world where it's just a single account-wide, region-wide cap. I know there are people who have all 50 slots used. We don't want to ask, ideally, if possible, we don't want to ask you to delete a character that you like in order to make a new one.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out, that's just one of those. It's a number that hasn't changed in 18 years, which can be scary at times. So we are investigating, but would like to see it.
Make it 9 million.
Excellent. Well, that's all I got for you, Ian. Thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for the answers.
These are some good
looking forward to more alpha and beta stuff. I don't know. It's been really fun. I've only had 2 days in it, and I'm already in love with it. So
cool. It's gonna be. We have a fun summer ahead. I think we have a much more focused alpha plan this time around than some past expansions. We're gonna have a new zone coming online basically every week for the next several weeks until they're all out there. The rest of the class trees coming online and all the rest.
Awesome. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much again, Ian. I appreciate it.
Cool. No, pleasure chatting.
Take care.
Wow.
Cheers. Take
okay.
care.
That's great. I mean,
it would be it'd be really fun to play alpha if my account was flagged.
Bro, they didn't flag his account, and they gave him an interview. You gave him an interview and didn't flag his account. Oh no! Oh no!
All right. What did you guys think?
Fuck, man.
What did you guys
All
think?
right.
Did you guys like it?
Listen, shout out to MrGM for letting us watch that. I think that was a good interview. I especially think the question about his the new player experience matters a lot, man. Yeah, I think it really does. Fuck, man. I should have asked Ian. Yeah, can I play the alpha? Yeah, that's what it's got to be. Didn't he outright say yes, but be around the bush, which means that reps won't be account shared? I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah.
Dude!
What?
Dragonflight Alpha stuff got released.
Are you sure? I mean, is this another debate? Oh my god. Like, I'm getting trolled so much today. This is crazy.